You know that feeling, right? That heavy sense of resistance we all call laziness. But what if it isn't actually a flaw? In this explainer, we're going to look at a totally different way to think about it, a much more compassionate, evidence-based approach drawn from some really powerful Japanese philosophies. Okay, so let's just start with this, a really powerful question that could change everything. What if that feeling, that resistance you have to getting started, isn't some moral failing on your part? What if it's just a signal? For so long, we've been stuck with the old view on the left, that being lazy means you've got a weak character, you lack willpower. But this new way we're exploring today, it flips the script entirely. It sees that resistance as a helpful, compassionate signal that something's just a little off, maybe in what you're doing, why you're doing it, or even just the room you're in. All right, so for our first section, we're going to focus on two big ideas that are the foundation for everything else. Figuring out why you're even doing something, and then making that very first step almost ridiculously small. First up is this concept called Kaizen. It's all about making continuous improvements through tiny, consistent changes. So instead of trying to tackle some huge, scary goal all at once, Kaizen is about getting just, say, 1% better every single day. It's all about building that little bit of momentum, not completely overwhelming yourself from the get-go. So how do you actually use Kaizen in real life? Well, check this out, the 1-minute rule. It's so simple. You just pick that task you've been dreading, commit to doing it for only 60 seconds. And, this is the important part, you stop after that minute is up. This little trick is amazing because it sneaks past your brain's alarm system. You know, that feeling of dread that's usually what makes us avoid the task in the first place. The other half of this puzzle is Ikigai, which is all about the why. It's basically your reason for being. Think about it. A lot of the time when we feel lazy, it's because the task in front of us just feels pointless. Ikigai helps you reframe your motivation, moving it away from just sheer discipline to a real, genuine connection with what you actually care about. So here's how you put it into practice. Before you start something you're resisting, just take a second and ask yourself these questions. Why do I really want to do this? Who is this going to help? And that includes you. Finding even a tiny connection to a deeper purpose can give you that little bit of fuel you need when your energy tank is running low. Okay, so let's see how this all connects to our physical world. Because our energy and our environment, they aren't separate from our motivation. In fact, they're a huge part of it. And that brings us to Hara Hachi Bu, a practice from Okinawa. It's a pretty simple idea. Stop eating when you're about 80% full. And trust me, this is about way more than just diet. It's a really powerful way to think about managing your energy in general. So why 80%? Well, when you overeat, your body has to spend a ton of energy on digestion. And that energy gets pulled away from your prefrontal cortex, you know, the part of your brain that does all the planning and focusing. So by not overloading your body, you're actually saving that precious mental energy for the things that really matter. Next up, let's look at the world around us with Seiri and Seiton, which basically means to sort and to organize. Now, this isn't just about tidying up for the sake of it. It's about seeing all that clutter as a direct competitor for your brain's very limited attention and energy. I mean, it just makes sense, right? A clear space helps create a clear mind. And there's actually research from Princeton that shows that visual clutter literally increases the cognitive load on your brain, which makes you feel more overwhelmed and less able to focus. So simplifying your space on the outside can have a huge impact on your calm on the inside. Okay, we've got our foundation and we've talked about our environment. Now let's dive into 3 really powerful mindsets for getting over those mental hurdles of actually starting something. And, maybe just as important, finishing it. First up is something called anchored focus. Now, you might know this already as the Pomodoro technique, but the version we're talking about adds a neat little twist, a small ritual, like taking a deep breath or making a specific hand gesture that signals to your brain, okay, it's time to focus now. It's a way of working with your brain's natural rhythm instead of against it. And it looks just like this. You work in these structured bursts, maybe 25 minutes, and then you take a short break. It stops you from getting mentally exhausted and makes those giant projects feel way more doable. And studies actually show that this method improves your self-control and makes you more efficient. It really works. Okay, next we have this absolutely beautiful concept called Kintsugi. It's the art of fixing broken pottery with gold. So instead of trying to hide the cracks, Kintsugi highlights them, making the piece even more beautiful because it was broken. As a mindset, it's a huge shift away from perfectionism and towards celebrating our progress, flaws and all. And here's the bottom line. Perfectionism is what keeps us stuck. it paralyzes us. But when we embrace a Kintsugi mindset, when we accept that our work isn't going to be perfect, it lowers that fear of just getting started. Simply finishing something, even if it's not perfect, builds the momentum and the confidence we need to keep on going. And that leads us perfectly into Wabi-Sabi, which is this whole philosophy of appreciating things just as they are, imperfect, temporary, and real. It's basically an invitation to act now with whatever you have, instead of waiting for some perfect moment that, let's be honest, is probably never going to come. All right, let's pull all of these ideas together now. We're going to combine these 7 practices into one single, cohesive system for dealing with that feeling of resistance in a much more compassionate way. So, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's just a sign that there's a disconnect somewhere between our need for meaning, our habits, our environment, and our feelings. It's a signal that our personal system just needs a gentle little tune-up. And this table just lays it all out so perfectly. Look how each practice addresses a specific psychological need. You need meaning? That's Ikigai. Need to build habits? Kaizen. Need to focus? Anchored focus. Need to balance your mind and body? That's Hara Hachi Bu and Seiri Seiton. And need to be kinder to yourself? Kintsugi and Wabi-Sabi. It's a complete toolkit. So I want to leave you with one final thought. Forget about the huge, overwhelming goal for just a second. What is the one tiny, imperfect step you can take right now? What's your 1-minute action to start building your own compassionate system starting today? If you spend any time online, you've heard it a million times. It's the universal sign-off, the creator's mantra. Like, share, subscribe. We hear it so often it's just kind of become background noise, right? But what if I told you those 3 little words aren't just a polite request? They're actually a powerful set of commands that literally shape the internet you experience. So let's just put it all together one more time. Liking is your vote for quality. Sharing is your tool for expansion. And subscribing is your act of community building. Every single click has a distinct and vital impact on the digital world we all live in. So, the next time you hear that familiar sign-off, remember this. You are not just passively watching something. You are an active participant. You are a curator, deciding what content deserves to be seen. You're an amplifier, giving it a bigger voice. And you're a patron, supporting the creators that you really value. So remember, your clicks have real weight. They actually shape the internet that we all share. They can elevate an unknown artist, they can spread a vital idea, or they can build a global community. You hold that power in your hands. The only question left is, now that you know the code, how are you going to use it?